Hello and welcome to another week of 52 Weeks of Financial Success. I'm so happy that you have joined us. Thank you for continuing to support what we are doing this year. Maybe you've heard about us through radio, maybe you've been to our website, maybe someone referred you to this site. However you got here, we are so thankful that you are here. So let's move on. Last week we talked about you must accept where you are. But this week, let's talk about after you've accepted where you are, second, you must decide where you want to be. I believe there are 5 steps that we must take in order to be successful in deciding where we want to be. First of all, begin with the end in mind. One of my favorite books is by the late Dr. Stephen Covey, and he authored the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And his second habit was begin with the end in mind. I believe we should do the same thing financially. You need to see in your mind where you want to end up financially. Where do you see yourself? Where do you want to be? How are things going to be different? I believe that unless we change our mindset about how we handle our finances today, our tomorrow will be the same as it is right now. So we must begin with the end in mind. But the question is always Winfrey, how do I begin with the end in mind? So the second step is you must write down your financial goals. Write down your financial goals. This is what I want to encourage you to do. Get out a piece of paper, get a pen, get a pencil. And I want you to list right now your financial goals. How much money do you want to have saved from this time this year to this time next year? How much debt do you want to have paid off? How much do you want to have saved in your retirement account? Or how much do you want to start saving? If you've already done those things, how much do you want to have saved for your child's college education? You need to write down on paper where you want to be. Because see, I found until you write it down, it's just a wish, it's just a dream. But when we make it a goal, when we see on paper where we say we want to be, that's when we start moving forward to what our goals are. So first, you have to begin with the end in mind. Second, write down on paper your goals. Third, make your goals realistic. Make your goals realistic. If you have never set or saved money, don't shoot for a goal of $1,000. Say I just want to have at least $200 or $500 saved. If you have 10, 11, 12 credit accounts, don't say I want to be debt-free by the end of the year. Say at least 3 of those accounts I want to have paid off. I have found many people get excited when we start a new job. We get excited when we start a new plan. We get excited in a new year. But somehow throughout the year that enthusiasm seems to decrease. Many times it's because our expectations were not realistic. And so I want to make sure, yes, write down your goals, but make sure they are realistic. Because I found you can save yourself a lot of heartache and heartbreak when you set realistic goals instead of unrealistic goals and you don't reach those goals. Fourth, you need to visit your goals often. Yeah, visit them often. I believe that daily, weekly, monthly, you should be looking at your goals. You need to see, are you even scratching the surface of where you said you would be this time this year? Because many times what we'll do, we'll set the goal, we'll write it down, and we won't look at it again. And then a year from now, we'll say, well, I wonder how I did on my goals. Well, you probably didn't reach them because constantly you have to feed in your mind, I need to do these things. And the only way you're going to change is it becomes a part of your mindset. You know, many psychologists say it takes 21 days to develop a new habit. And so every day for the next 52 weeks, I want you to be looking at your goals. I want you to look at them weekly, look at them monthly, and say, these are the goals that I'm going to hit. Because when it sinks into your subconscious, then that's when you'll start to change the habits that have gotten you to the point of where you are now. So first of all, begin with the end in mind. Second, write down on paper your goals. Third, make your goals realistic. Fourth, visit them often. And then fifth, take action. You know, one of my favorite quotes really sums up this point, that there are 3 kinds of people in the world. Those that make things happen, those who watch things happen, and then those who wonder what happened. Well, for the next 52 weeks, we're going to be the person that takes action. We're going to write down our goals. We're going to visit them often. We're going to make sure they're realistic. We're going to see in advance where we want to be this time next year. And it's all going to come by you taking action. Let this be the year that you don't talk about what you're going to do, but you go ahead and do it. Let me give you some homework this week. Last week, I wanted you to write down all of your bills, write down all of your expenses, write down your income, be honest with where you are, accept where you are. But this week, I want you to have some fun. I want you to start what is called a vision board. Maybe you've never heard of a vision board. Well, a vision board is where you take a poster board, you get some newspapers, some magazines, some pictures off of the internet, and you want to put on a board where you want to see yourself financially. Hey, you may have a house that you want to live in, and you see a picture of the house. Cut it out, put it on the board. You've got a certain kind of car that you want to drive. Cut that picture out, put it on the board. The steps that you're going to take in order to pay off debt, in order to save, in order to invest for the future, write that on your board. Every financial goal, dream, idea that you can come up with, I want you to put it on your board, because that is what you're going to use as your inspiration. That's what you're going to use as your motivation. Because as you start this plan and come March, you want to go back to your old ways, you need to look at that board. When you've been doing good for the first 6 months of the year and then something happens in July, something comes up in August, and you want to go back to your old ways, you're going to have to keep looking at the board. And so that's what I want to be as your encouragement on why you're doing it. So I want you to take the time, spend 2 or 3 days, really think about what you want to put on your financial vision board. Well, again, thank you for tuning in to 52 Weeks of Financial Success. If you have not been to our website, I encourage you to go there. Go to charleswinfrey.com, charleswinfrey.com. Download the free chapter from our new book. Listen to our radio program every week. Make sure you follow us on our blog, and we'll see you next week.